Hello everyone, for this tutorial video I'd like to explain how conductors and insulators work, in a more general fashion, as well as some rigorous explanations, but sticking mostly to the general answers. As mentioned in the last video, many materials give up electrons more easily than other materials, and so engineers classify these types of materials as conductors, and the materials that do not give up the electrons as easily, insulators. And as also mentioned in the last tutorial video, there's no easy way to tell apart conductors or insulators. They have to be determined on a case-by-case basis. But the good news is, if you're well versed in chemistry and the periodic table, you may be able to tell apart conductors and insulators better. If you remember the rule that materials with 8 valence electrons or electrons in the outermost shell are the most stable and balanced, so it should become somewhat obvious that materials with 4 valence electrons would be most likely to give up electrons because of the fact that they are farthest away mathematically from the ideal stability point of 0 or 8 valence electrons, compared to something like 1, 2, 6, or 7 valence electrons. So we can see, because there is a new ring after 8 electrons, we can consult the periodic table and state that every fourth element in a pattern of 8 would be most likely to give up electrons compared to the other elements. Because we remember the periodic table is organized according to the number of protons in a material, which should be equal to the number of electrons for the substance to be neutral, as discussed in the last video. And you will often hear, even without looking it up from the periodic table, that metals are the best conductor of electricity, which is why they are used on the inside of wires, or the inside of other electrical components like capacitors or resistors. Now that I've explained the basics of how static electricity works, including how different materials conduct and insulate static electricity, I can discontinue talking about static electricity and talk about the more important electricity relevant to engineering, which is moving electricity, more formally called dynamic electricity, if you are familiar with what dynamics means from other branches of physics like mechanics, as well as an explanation of how the most basic electrical circuits work that are made up of only a wire and no components, as well as an explanation of what short circuit and open circuit refers to, as you have probably heard the phrase short circuit used in non-electrical contexts. Don't forget to subscribe if you found this video informative, and make sure to see other tutorial videos, and follow me on either Facebook or Twitter for more content.